Well, welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Lori Anne Casdia. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. This month, May, is Mental Health Awareness Month. The Kindness Campaign focuses on kindness and caring about your mental health and others' mental health. So call and or text friends, families to check in on them to see how they're doing. A call, we really call it a wellness check. So surround yourself with supportive people. Start every morning with positive affirmations, which will help you start every day with an optimistic outlook on life. Some really good daily affirmations is: I am strong and capable. I choose to forgive and let go of anger. I love myself for who I am. So give that a try. Hit us up for some comments on social media. We'd love to hear more about it. And also, this is, and we are so thankful, this is Nurses Week. We want to celebrate nurses. It was from 6th to the 12th of May, and it's also the Year of the Nurse. And we had that extended. It was the Florence Nightingale extension for the Year of the Nurse. It's National Nurses Week, 6th to the 12th of every May. So with that said, today on our show, I am so pleased and honored to have Cynthia LaRocca. She is the Director of Clinical Professional Development and works between Northwell's Plainview and Syosset Hospitals. And really, it's very fitting for the Week of the Nurse and Year of the Nurse to have Cynthia on. I just want to give you a little background about her because it is amazing what Cynthia has done. She has served in the U.S. Army Reserve from 1990 to 1998. As a pharmacy technician and medic. She became a nurse in 1998, worked in rehab, Med-Surg, critical care, and finally in nursing education, which is where she is right now. Currently working for Northwell, as I said before, in Plainview and Syosset. Wow, I can't get my mouth going today. Both of those hospitals since 2016 as the Director of Clinical Professional Development, and also is the co-lead of the Team Lavender Team at both of the sites, as well as the co-chair of the LatinX BERG for Northwell. And we want to talk more about the Lavender Team because that goes back to May being Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Cynthia.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Oh, no worries. Just having a hard time getting my mouth to work today. I don't know why, so bear with me on that. Okay. So thank you so much, by the way, for your service in the Army Reserves. It's really a wonderful thing. I come from a lot of family members who work for the military and serve for our United States, protecting our Constitution, and I really do appreciate you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So why a nurse? Why did you go to nursing?
I will tell you, nursing found me. It wasn't a lot of times when you ask people, what do you do? How did you get into the career you've gotten into? And they say, oh, from the time I was a kid, I always wanted to be a nurse. I can tell you that was not me. I wanted to do something else, but throughout my life, I just allowed my career to kind of take its own form. And since I was in the military and worked as a pharmacy tech and a medic, I worked in the VA hospital and found that I really enjoyed walking around and talking to the different people and the patients as I delivered the medications. And so it kind of just found me. And I can tell you I have been thoroughly happy with my career ever since.
That is such a great story. I talk a lot on the show to everyone about following the flow and just giving it up. And the universe takes you on the ride you're supposed to go on. So why fight it? Because you're going to go that way no matter what. It's just you can either take the shortcut or you could take the long route. And it sounds like you went with the flow. So that must have felt really good because everything probably came a little bit easy because you weren't fighting it. There was no resistance, right?
Exactly. And I think sometimes, we just have to have faith and allow someone else to take the reins, if you know who I mean.
Yes.
And I always say my job is not to lead, but to follow. and to follow His plan. And so my incredible faith really has helped to guide me in that respect. So I've always allowed the opportunities that came my way to take advantage of those. If they were for me, then they would happen, and if not, then they wouldn't.
Oh my goodness, I'm head to toe goosebumps. That's just beautiful. It's really beautiful. I mean, I preach this all the time, and you're just walking proof of it. I love your motto, which is nothing's worth having is easy obtaining. With hard work and determination, you can achieve anything you put your mind to. So true, so true, so true. And you have done that. So tell us, Cynthia, what does nursing mean to you?
Nursing has given me everything, and I know that sounds very cliche, but it really has. It's helped me to, first of all, I love service. I love serving others, and as you can tell, I've served in the military. Everything that I have done in my life is to serve others, because we all have gifts that God has given us, and mine, I feel, is in being able to uplift and encourage others. And so part of what I do in nursing is educating my patients, encouraging them to get better, to walk a little further, to just give that little extra so that they can get better and go home. And now in education, my job is really to uplift my nurses and to make sure that they have the equipment and the information they need to be able to take care of patients.
That's beautiful. So how does Northwell support its nurses?
Northwell does, first, I have to say I am thoroughly thrilled and happy and blessed to work here. They support their nurses in so many various ways, from giving back in tuition reimbursement. They take care of the mental well-being with a lot of health and wellness programs for their staff and for the nurses, for all staff really. And they really are always constantly looking for ways to do what we do better, and sometimes that means making sure that the nurses feel better.
Yeah, sure. It must have been difficult, obviously, working during COVID, for you to support the nurses during COVID. What was that like to work during that?
I will tell you, education was really kind of at the forefront, because we had nurses that we had to retrain in the moment to do a different role. So it was very challenging in that respect for the nurses, and our role of really just supporting them, giving them the education that they needed in the moment. It was very fast-moving, fast-paced, but I can tell you that our nurses are resilient, and they just kind of went with the flow, and we did what needed to be done to take care of those patients. One of the things that you kind of talked about was Team Lavender, and I'm the co-lead for Team Lavender at our hospitals. It was created by Aggie Barden. She is our VP of Patient and Customer Experience here at Northwell, and she really created this program where we can support ourselves, like how to care for ourselves, and then we can then in turn care for others. So what she created was this Team Lavender program, where let's say if you're having a challenge during the day of taking care of a patient that may have is having a hard time or just passed away, and you're having a hard time and you're unable to kind of move forward, the Team Lavender is activated almost like an EMT comes and helps in an accident. We go to the team to where we're needed, and we just surround that person with support, caring, and the space. Sometimes we don't say anything, and sometimes it's just allowing them the space to feel whatever emotions that they have and just supporting them through that. Northwell, some of our values are being truly compassionate, right? And
without a doubt.
This program is about being truly compassionate to ourselves and really supporting one another as a team, and being truly together is another one of our values. Being truly together and supporting one another.
Yeah, and it's so important because of the position the nurses are in. The nurses have to put the oxygen mask on first,
yes.
Because you have to be in a good place to help someone else get into a good place, and otherwise everybody starts spiraling down that rabbit hole, and it's really hard to pull out. So that you have this Team Lavender and you put this together, plus I think lavender is fantastic. It's calming.
That is one of our, I guess, our mascots, so to speak.
Yeah.
We wear lavender scrubs. It's really wonderful. Everyone knows who we are when we come down the hall in our lavender.
It's like having a lavender SWAT team.
Yes. Exactly.
That's beautiful. That's so wonderful. And what does Nurses Week, Year of the Nurse, mean, and why is it significant to you? I mean, we need to honor and celebrate our nurses. It's real important to do that, and everything that you guys do. I mean, honestly, and no offense to any of the doctors who've been on the show, because anybody who works at Northwell has been just unbelievably supportive. They love education. They really, really, really want to help the patients. It's not something that they just go to work and just go to get paid. They go because they're passionate about it. But nurses are the ones that I turn to because they're the ones who care for us day in and day out and are the front line who really know what's going on, and they kind of corral everybody else around to make sure everybody's kind of following the path that it's supposed to be going down, right? You keep the trains moving, don't you?
Absolutely. And, the World Health Assembly, the governing body of the World Health Organization, designated 2020 as the Year of the Nurse, and they extended it to this year because of what went on last year through the pandemic. I think, nursing is one of the professions, or the profession, that is the most trusted profession and respected. And that's been year after year. We have been voted the most trusted profession. And I believe that, celebrating or having that time just to dedicate to celebrating nurses is kind of, it's just due. I think it just came at the right time. No one could have predicted what was going to happen last year. And there was never a moment where we could shine brighter than last year. So I think it was just the right time, and it really kind of became our shining moment in history. Like I said, nurses were on the forefront, and we, for the first time, were considered heroes for what we do. Meanwhile, we do this all day, every day.
Yeah, I think anybody who really recognized what nurses do always considered heroes. I just think we were more outwardly spoken about what you all do. It is amazing that you were there on the front line, always there, risking yourself to help other people. And the same with the military. That's what our military does. They risk themselves for our benefit, for our freedoms. And the same thing, you were risking your health. All the nurses were there risking their health to help us. So yeah, well deserved. It should be Year of the Nurse every year because you guys really are the heroes. When I think of heroes or something heroic, I think of people like yourself, because you really take those steps. The EMTs, the firemen, the police, they all take those steps where I wouldn't be able to do it. That passing out thing doesn't work really well when you're in the hospital. And the not wanting to run towards a fire doesn't work if you're a fireman. So, I am so grateful for everyone who takes those frontline risky jobs and just do it with such passion and grace. And so appreciate you, Cynthia, and your team and everything that you're doing. So one other thing I mentioned, and I have no idea what it is what is BERG?
A BERG. Okay, so the BERGs are the Business Employee Resource Groups.
Oh.
There are a number of different types of BERGs. We have our cultural BERGs, which is what the LatinX BERG is a part of. We also have our Valor BERG, which celebrates our military members. We also have our Enable BERG, which also works with people with disabilities. We have our Expressions BERG for the LGBTQIA plus community. And then we also have our Women in Healthcare BERG, which celebrates women in healthcare. And so what the BERGs do is we organize members of the team members within Northwell to be able to do different things, whether it's for the community. So I will speak about my BERG. We are the Bridges BERG, which is all of the cultural BERGs. We have worked together to partner with our communities. We did a lot of work during the time of vaccinations to really educate our communities on why they should be vaccinated. We translated materials into Spanish and Chinese and various Chinese languages so that our constituents, our communities can understand the materials that we were trying to get to them to educate them. So there's a lot of work that Northwell is doing, not only to partner with the communities, but within Northwell itself to make sure that we are supporting one another and we're supporting everyone else as well, so that we can move health forward. Like they say, raise health. Yeah. is our motto, sure. And that's really what we're trying to do, utilizing the BERGs and partnering with us to do that.
What's the most fulfilling part of your job?
I would have to say within the BERG, the fulfilling part of that is, I would say, partnering with communities that need our help, that really need the information so that we can elevate them. Within my role, I love to be able to give back, and that is why I do what I do, is being able to give back, whether it's education, giving someone confidence to know that they can do anything they put their minds to. So I would have to say that's the most fulfilling part of my job.
I love how optimistic and positive you are. You're very inspirational. I love that so much about you. It's amazing. So who inspired you the most? Because you must have had somebody who was inspirational.
My mom. My mom is the most inspirational woman I've ever known. She was a single mom and had 3 young children. She went back to work. She did it all by herself. She managed everything. And she had that I'm not going to give up attitude, and I think that's where I get it from, that, nothing, which is my motto, nothing worth having is easy obtaining. If you put hard work into it, you'll get back out tenfold what you put in.
I totally agree on that. Totally agree. Probably more than that. I think if you're staying focused and you're doing it with your heart, anything, when you see the life through your heart, I think that's when you really see the beauty of what's out there.
Absolutely.
It's easy to look through a certain lens. If we just change lens and look through our heart instead of our brain, get out of our heads, I think we see the beauty. And I think you just do that naturally every day. At least that's the impression I'm getting of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope so. I want to know that I left this world better than when I received it.
Yeah.
And that's really my goal in life, and just making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm meant to be doing. And I feel that that's why I am where I am right now. I feel that I am meant to be doing this work, and I'm fulfilling my purpose for being here on this earth.
That is spectacular. Everybody should try to find something and be so passionate about it as you are. Oh. And it definitely benefits and serves the community too. So again, we speak about on the show why we're here. 2 reasons. We're here to learn and we're here to serve. And once again, another human doing great things, serving the community, serving one another. And isn't that uplifting? I love it.
It feels good. Yeah. I tell you, that's why I work as the co-lead of Team Lavender, because I feel like I get more out of giving back than people are in receiving it, but they're very appreciative to have someone supporting them. With the community, with the BERGs, being able to do for the Latino population what's needed is so fulfilling. And also for my team members here at Northwell, we're trying to do a lot of work with mental health, talking about COVID and mental health. We've done talks about racism. We are very supported in being able to address the topics that are happening in the world. And our leader, Michael Dowling, is not afraid to do that. And that's what I feel that I'm so thankful to work here, because he's so courageous. He takes on gun violence. He takes on racism. He takes on the topics that are most challenging and really faces them head on. So I feel proud to work underneath him, I should say.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy the Northwell family. I think it is just top notch, and it's all over Long Island and New York and upstate, and just top notch organization. And once again, proving yet another superlative employee. Last thoughts, Cynthia, that you want to share with our listeners?
What I would like to say, please get your COVID shot. The things that I've seen in the hospital, you don't want to experience. I know people are very reluctant to get the vaccine.
Absolutely.
I've gotten my vaccine. I made sure that my whole entire family has received theirs. My mom is in her 70s. She's received hers. Please, for your family, if you love them, please get your COVID shot.
And with that, I want to thank you so much, Cynthia LaRocca. I love saying your name like that. It's so lyrical.
Thank you.
Director of Clinical Professional Development at Northwell Health and at the Plainview and Syosset Hospitals. And if someone were to reach out to you, how could they contact you, Cynthia?
At clarocca1 at northwell.edu.
That's fantastic. We're going to take a little break, and we will be right back to speak to yet another amazing professional from Northwell Health. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Lori Anne. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas on topics you'd like us to cover here on Healthy Lifestyle, please email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com, or you can visit us on social media, Healthy Lifestyle with LA. We are, of course, live every week on Facebook. So feel free to come over, visit us, comment, follow along. We absolutely love it. The first segment, Unbelievable, with Cynthia LaRocca. I like saying her name, can you tell? She was outstanding, and I'm so appreciative of all the nurses and doctors and everything our medical teams have done and will do for us. It's just nice to know, and we are so fortunate, and I'm so grateful that we have that talent around. So, as I had indicated, we have yet another unbelievable professional from Northwell Health, Dr. Alan Kaplan. Dr. Kaplan is the chairman of emergency medicine and stroke director in the Plainview and Syosset Hospitals of Northwell Health as well. And I want to welcome Dr. Kaplan to the show. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kaplan.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So you have lots of hats going on. What's going on here?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, you have emergency medicine. You've been a physician for 20 plus years in emergency medicine?
Correct. Yeah, I've been a physician in Northwell Health for 21 years. I've been at Plainview for most of that time, and I've been a director at Plainview and Syosset since 2009.
Wow, you must really like it there.
Yeah, it's great.
I get that.
Away from home.
That's so nice to hear. I mean, it's amazing some of the doctors that go through here, medical professionals that come on our show, and all from Northwell, and just always top notch. I always love interviewing you guys. So, stroke awareness. Give me a definition, the significance. Help me.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, stroke, basically we can call it as a brain attack. We sometimes like to make it easy to conceptualize. In the same vein as like a heart attack, it's a lack or a cutoff of blood flow to the brain. In much the same way, a heart attack is a lack of blood flow to the heart.
Okay.
That's how we like to try to explain that. It's very important. Approximately 800,000 people suffer from strokes every year in this country. It's the number 5 cause of death. Basically, someone's dying every 4 minutes secondary to a stroke. And what's important is to know that almost 80% of them are preventable.
Wow, the number 5.
Yeah, it's up there. And in addition to that, the people who do survive stroke, it's the number 1 cause of long-term disability, which is even more important because we have things that we can do now to minimize the sequelae and the effects of people who do sustain strokes. So
is this familiar, or is this something that can happen to anybody?
Can happen to anybody. There are a lot of risk factors involved. Some of them can be mitigated through lifestyle changes, but a stroke can really happen to anybody at any time. So
2-part question. What brings on a stroke? Like, what are the symptoms? What should I be looking for? And then 2, how can we prevent it? So let's just start with, what are we looking for?
Right. So what we try to do is we start off with a simple mnemonic that people can follow. And the reason that it's important that everybody learn about it, because there are times when the person who is actually having the stroke is unable to communicate. So, and we'll get into one of those symptoms shortly. So we try to use the mnemonic.
What is a mnemonic?
It's right now, it used to be fast. Now it's be fast. So we added B for balance, E for eyes. So if someone all of a sudden becomes dizzy, and unable to walk, that's potentially one of the symptoms. Eyes, anyone with any sudden loss of vision in one eye or part of the field of one eye, that could be a stroke as well. And then, of course, F, we look at the face. You look for people that have one side of the face is drooping. We call that a facial droop. And then A is for arms. If someone has weakness in an arm, so all of a sudden you realize they can't move the arm, or they can't hold a cup, or they lose dexterity in the hand, that's a symptom. And S is speech. Any change in speech, whether it's slurred or if the person you're speaking to doesn't seem to be able to get the words out. Like for some reason you think maybe they're confused. So those, and T is time. That means you want to act fast. So that's the mnemonic. Be fast.
Oh, wow.
It's very simple for people to remember.
Yeah.
They actually have bookmarks for people to have in their homes because what happens is the best advocates are the people around that can call for help.
Yeah,
because that's the most important fact. When
you're losing your speech in something like this, you don't always recognize it because it sounds right in your head, but it doesn't sound right to other people.
Correct. It's not until, a lot of cases, it's not until someone calls on the phone or, comes to someone's home to speak to them and realizes that they have an issue with their speech. The person themselves, a lot of times, that you're correct, they don't realize they have an issue.
So now some of these symptoms are very similar. I have familiar migraines, and some of these symptoms are very similar. So the loss of sight, that's usually my aura. I'll lose sight, and then if I lose complete vision in one eye, it's usually my left eye. I lose complete vision. So, and I do sometimes have speech where it's fine with me, and then people are looking at me funny, going, "Why are you talking like that?" So I'm wondering if those similar things, would that be a proponent to potentially having strokes and maybe little baby strokes, or is that completely migraine related?
Right. Well, I think what you're describing is what they would term a hemiplegic migraine, so to speak. There are a lot of things that can mimic strokes. That's what makes a lot of it very difficult.
Okay.
Patients come in, we try to decipher and go through their symptoms and their history and through the exam, and then we can run certain tests, and then give us a better idea if it really is truly a stroke or potentially a stroke mimic. And we have to decipher that. That's what makes it so challenging to us.
Yeah, because a lot of similar symptoms for a couple of different things. And how does this differ from the side of the symptoms of a what did they call it? Not neuralgia, but when you have that thing pop in your head. An
aneurysm.
Aneurysm. Thank you.
Right. So an aneurysm. Well, it's interesting that you mention that because there are different types of strokes. The stroke that we're referring to mostly here are called ischemic strokes. That's when there's a lack of blood flow to the brain.
Right.
There are also strokes called hemorrhagic strokes in which there's bleeding involved. And those can either be from an aneurysm, as what you're referring to, or there are individuals that have hypertension, that's high blood pressure that's untreated for a long time, and they're at risk for having a hemorrhagic stroke, which is bleeding in the brain. And we decipher that when we do. We have imaging studies, CAT scans, and we can see if there's bleeding or aneurysms occurring when we run those tests.
So how can we prevent something like this?
So the key things are the most common risk factors that can be modified, because there are some that can't. Obviously, your age and your gender are things, or your family history. You can't change those. Lifestyle changes are the easiest, the most prominent. The first thing I would recommend is that anybody, if you're smoking, to stop. Smoking is probably the worst and the easiest thing to stop and reverse. People with excessive blood pressure, if they have blood pressure, they should follow up with their physicians on a regular basis, and they should always remain compliant with their medication.
You're talking high blood pressure?
High blood pressure.
Okay. You said blood pressure. I was like, don't we all need blood pressure?
Yes. Correct.
we do need it, but high blood pressure. And what's the definition of high blood pressure? I get people say that to me, and I was like, well, what's the marcation for a high blood pressure?
Right. Well, it's always like a bit of a moving target, but roughly I would say 140 over 90. And blood pressure is a dynamic process. It goes up and it goes down, and it needs to be measured over a period of time, several readings, which is important for people, even if they don't think they have high blood pressure, that they get regular checkups.
Get a baseline, right?
Right, because they call high blood pressure hypertension. It's also called the silent killer. So you can have it for many years and not have any symptoms. that's why it needs to be monitored. It's important for people to get regular checkups.
And what can people do? Like, what kind of treatments are out there? I know there's a lot of new stuff coming.
Well, for high blood pressure?
No, for strokes.
Oh, so a lot of it varies on the timing. That's why it's important for people to know the symptoms and the signs of stroke so they can act quickly. So there are we have a medication that we use for people who have strokes if it's within a certain time frame, usually within 4.5 hours or less, and they meet certain criteria. We have a list of criteria. It's a clot-busting medicine called TPA. That's tissue plasminogen activator. And what it does is an extremely strong blood thinner. And if you have clots, it can help dissolve the clot, work through the clot, and restore blood flow through the vessels that are blocked.
Brilliant.
In addition, for people having certain other types of strokes in different time frames, there's interventional neurologists that can use mechanical devices to actually remove clots from blood vessels in the brain. So there's a lot of different tools in the armament now that they didn't have available to us like a couple of decades ago.
Yeah, that is amazing. So have you seen a lot of changes through your 20-plus years experience?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah.
We started using TPA early in my career. That, of course, has been expanded, and now with the endovascular interventions, it's transformed the care of stroke in this country. It's been amazing, actually. You know, it used to be one of those things we couldn't do anything once it was done. You know, or you were having it, there was not much intervention. But now there's a whole armament of procedures that we can do.
So let me ask you another question completely in a different direction. Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do that?
Why do you do what you do?
I love helping people. It's exciting, it's fulfilling and gratifying, and I feel like we're doing good every day. We're helping people.
And what made you get into medicine and this particular area, emergency medicine and stroke?
Well, interestingly, when I was in medical school doing my rounds, there wasn't really one particular field or area or specialty that I really enjoyed, I want to say. And when I went down into the emergency department, the energy in there just really took my attention and just grabbed me. And it was just something that, I don't want to say I was addicted to it, but it was definitely something that I was attracted to.
So you like the fast pace, the never knowing what's coming in, never know what's going out kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't want to say it's an adrenaline rush, but it's something a little less than that.
Yeah, it's a challenge, right? You probably love challenges.
It's always challenging.
Yeah,
always challenging.
I can only imagine in the emergency room what that is like. So, and always running. Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? That's a good question.
Thank you.
I'm inspired a lot by my colleagues who come in every day, give it their all. They work extremely hard in difficult situations, sometimes controlled, chaotic situations, and unfortunately, we see the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And I see how well everyone performs and handles themselves, and that really gives me a lot of comfort and inspiration.
When you see it, so for me, I like to see things from the beginning, middle, and end. And you don't get to do that in the emergency room necessarily. You come in, you triage, you treat, and then you pass them on a lot of times. Do you follow the patients all the way through, or do you really just do that triage, that beginning, getting them under control point in the emergency room?
Well, we bring them in, and we're actually doing a lot of resuscitating, a lot of stabilizing. We do a lot of patient workups, which years ago would take days to get accomplished.
Right.
So we're efficient enough now, in a matter of hours, we can get a tremendous amount of information and studies done and blood work done, which is very helpful. In a lot of instances, we do get follow-up from our inpatient colleagues and specialists. We'll ask, we'll inquire, and we'll also get feedback. They'll actually come to inform us patient outcomes. And then when we review cases, we always need to see the whole case from the beginning to the end.
Right.
So that's very helpful to us also.
Well, the more information you have on a patient, the better you could treat them, right? So if you have a holistic look at them, isn't that easier for you to give the best treatment?
100%.
Yeah.
And that's one of the challenges. Because we're in emergency medicine, as you're saying, people come in, it's not a planned visit.
Right.
And we're dealing a lot of times with lack of information.
Right.
You don't know, and sometimes the patients can't speak for themselves, and we need to get and gather information from other sources, which can take time. But yeah, the more information we have, always the better.
That's just amazing. And if someone to ask you, well, I'm going to ask you this question, is what makes you different than or unique?
As far as emergency medicine?
As far as you, Dr. Kaplan.
Oh, I think just my general personality, attitude towards things. I'm able to kind of just take a general look, not get so caught up in the moment, take a step back, survey the situation, and then act and do what's needed.
Does that come over time? Do you develop that over time, or is that something that's just who you are?
I think it's a little of both.
Okay.
I think some people develop it over time, and I think some people innately just have that in them, and right from the beginning. So it's a little of both.
One of the things that I found interesting is my brother's a neonatologist, and when he first started, he used to order every report under the sun for a patient. And now when he speaks to them, he narrows it down to 2 or 3, and that will give him enough information to be able to decide what he needs to do, the best course of action. Do you find that, well, you really don't have the luxury in a lot of cases in the emergency room to order a battery of things and take that time. You do have to do a lot of things on the fly. Do you find that you now, with all of this experience in your background, do you find that you do the same thing where you don't have to order as many reports and many tests?
Well, yeah. I mean, experience is definitely an asset, in so to speak, in this context. But again, in the emergency department, we're working backwards, so to speak. We're looking to find the worst things that people might have and rule things out,
right?
Not necessarily rule things in and diagnose exactly, which we do a lot of the time,
right?
But we're looking to rule out the most serious and life-threatening things, and then we work backwards through that way. So yeah, I mean, definitely experience helps you decipher what you need and when you need it. I think that helps. Basically in any specialty it's important to have.
Yeah, and the May is as we had stated at the beginning of the show, is the Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm sure that you have a number of people who come into the emergency room who would need a lot of this attention. How do you handle things like that? Well,
we screen patients, for mental behavioral health issues. If we deem that their issue is an acute problem, we have psychiatrists that we can have evaluate the patients, and they help determine the best course of action in each case.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a really good team. How many people on your team, or how many people are working with you between Plainview and Syosset?
As far as physicians, we have approximately 20 plus. Nurses, I want to say maybe 75, 80, and then support staff around us, another 15 or so.
Wow. We
have a sizable group.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
What makes you stay with Northwell?
Oh, I feel like I was born and bred here. I mean, I did my residency with Northwell, and then I've been here ever since. I've had great mentors from the beginning.
Right.
And, of course, the people I work with, not only in emergency medicine, but in all the other specialties and other departments throughout all the facilities and sites. It's just wonderful. So it's really been a nice career so far. And I've worked at several sites, either, mostly full-time Plainview and Syosset, but on occasion I did per diem work at several other sites throughout my 20-plus years, and it's really been terrific.
If you could pick one story of your favorite outcome, what would that story be?
My favorite outcome? We had a case of a gentleman come in once who was a middle-aged gentleman. He was totally thrashing around, you couldn't communicate with him, and nobody really knew what happened to him. They found him in his home. One of the family members found him, so they brought him in. He was thrashing around, and for sure, I thought he had what you were alluding to earlier was an aneurysm in his brain.
Right.
We were able to put him on a respirator, a ventilator. We got him stabilized enough to go down and get a CAT scan, and he didn't have an aneurysm. And it turned out he had suffered a heart attack, myocardial infarction, and I guess the lack of oxygen to his brain caused him to become altered and incoherent, so to speak. And he actually went into cardiac arrest. We worked on him for a good 45 minutes or so, and then we were about to stop, and someone in the family said, "Oh, just give him a few more minutes. He's a fighter." And literally the next minute he came back, his heart rate came back, his pulse came back, and he actually was discharged from the hospital 6 days later.
Oh my goodness.
It was a great case.
Wow, that is a great case. That is amazing. Superhero.
He came back once and brought us Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, and thoughtful and kind. I love it.
That's what we like the best about the story, the donut.
The donut. All right, we know what to bring you, Dr. K. Last thoughts?
I'm sorry?
Last thoughts, things you want the listeners to hear.
I definitely think everyone should pay attention to the symptoms and learn the symptoms of stroke to recognize stroke. Be fast. It's very important. A stroke can strike anyone at any time, and the sooner it's recognized, the sooner everyone calls 911, the better chance of a full recovery or reducing the severe consequences of a stroke. So that's what I want to leave people.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle, Dr. Kaplan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Really, remember everyone, be fast, balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, and time. If you act fast, you be fast, you have a better chance of having a better outcome. I want to thank Cynthia LaRocca for being on today, and also Dr. Alan Kaplan. We really appreciate you. We appreciate Northwell Health and them always sending such amazing talent here. And thank you for joining us on Healthy Lifestyle today. It is always a wonderful opportunity for me to share this time with you. You are the best because everyone else is taken, so you be the best person you can be. Thank you again for joining us on Healthy Lifestyle. I am Lori Anne Casdia. Until next time, play a higher role, serve a higher purpose, show up for you, and show up big.